Hey, how you doing out there? This is Bob on Bob's Blues and the News coming to you directly from Atlanta, Georgia. It's a little off the cuff, a little tune I done did called Reaching Out for the Key. I guess I'll release that one of these days. It's almost finished, just have to get it mixed and mastered and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you're having a good weekend. It's Sunday afternoon here. It's 5:10 in the afternoon, and it's April the 12th. Yeah, the Mars the 13th. And it's getting warm. And warm weather is on the way. I think it's supposed to get in the 90s this weekend, somebody said. That's okay by me. I'm sort of like it warm. I don't mind it cold at times, but I prefer the warm weather. I was born in the South, in Virginia. Even though in Virginia you do get 4 distinct seasons, here in Atlanta, you do get a little bit of winter, but not too much. Every now and then you'll see a snowflake, but it doesn't happen too often. Unless you're in north of Georgia, up in the mountains, yeah, you probably see more. But anyway, here in Atlanta, it's pretty pleasant most of the time, depending on the year. It's not a bad place to live, actually. I've lived in New York, I've lived in Paris, I've lived in London, I've lived in Richmond, Virginia. That's where I was born. I lived in various places in Europe and here as well. But climate-wise, this is one of the better places I've lived because it's not too harsh. It does get hot in the summer now. It will get a little sultry in the summer. But the springs are very nice, the autumn's very nice usually, and the winters are not too harsh usually. But I'm not the weatherman. I'm not giving a weather report as far as, the weather goes. I mean, I talk about the news a lot and what's happening in the world and play a couple of my tunes. That's why I call it Bob's Blues in the News. Glad you could join me. Right now, we've been dealing with this war with Iran for, 6 weeks now or more? 5 or 6 weeks. I'm not even sure how long this war's been going on, but a while. And right now, we had a ceasefire, but the ceasefire, of course, didn't work because, you're not going to get any deal with Iran. Trump is always hoping. He's buying time, too, because he has to get things in place in order to get the Strait of Hormuz, for example, straightened out. But, of course, he would like to have some kind of deal. But there's nobody there to talk to. Sorry, I had to take a little sip of my OJ. Yeah, that helps. A lot of pollen this time of year, So that's what he's working on right now is he said, well, we couldn't get an agreement. Ceasefire didn't work. I could have told him that. He's got nobody to talk to over there. A bunch of jerks. A bunch of Looney Tunes. A bunch of jihadists who think they can conquer the world. And they live in La La Land. And they're trying to bring their 12th Iman back, their Messiah, to bring their sort of a redemption. Well, their redemption, their idea of redemption is what I would call hell, because there's no freedom over there. They're very tyrannical, corrupt, and they like to kill. It's a religion of death. So I like to stay on the side of light, and I'm working to stay on the side of light. When God says, sorry, I'm looking at my phone. And so there's a cosmic, talking about the weather, there is a cosmic weather element here, if you want to say it in that way, because the heavens are involved with what's going on. I'm a religious guy, and I bring this up a lot, how the forces of good and the forces of evil they're always at play, but sometimes a lot more than others. And right now we're living in a very intense period where the forces of evil and the forces of light are very prevalent. And you should be able to, like in the movie Star Wars, right? It's like that. You have Darth Vader, and he's evil and dark because he has a dark suit, and he wears a mask, his helmet, and he talks with a very deep, evil type of voice. And then you have somebody like Luke Skywalker, who's a young guy, he's fighting for righteousness, he's fighting for the good. And it's obvious who these characters are and what role they are playing. But often people get confused in the modern world because of all the fake media. I was reading, I was reading Ezekiel, the book Ezekiel, from the prophet Ezekiel, from the Old Testament, the prophets. The Christians have those books as well. And there was a lot of fake news in those days. Before the first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians, you had prophets like Ezekiel and Jeremiah and all who were true prophets, and they, basically they told the king, and it wasn't not a bad king, the last king under that had power in Jerusalem before it was taken over by Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians. Anyway, he was not a righteous guy, but he had bad advisors, and he was listening to the wrong people, because they had false prophets back then too. They would go into the temple and said, yeah, we have to fight these Babylonians. We have to have courage. We can take them on, even though logically at that time Israel was really a shadow of its former self under King David and King Solomon. I mean, the northern kingdoms had broken away. There was corruption everywhere. Some kings brought in idol worship, which was bad news. And, so that element was still there. There was infighting, and and the prophets, the good prophets, the righteous prophets, the true prophets, like Ezekiel, like Jeremiah, was telling the king, hey, look, just don't worry about being a world power right now. You can't defeat Babylon. Just be subservient to them. Make Nebuchadnezzar happy, and he'll leave you alone, and you'll live in peace and more or less prosperity, and we can worship God the way we need to worship God, and you'll be safe, So don't, get a big head. But of course, he got a big head after listening to his ministers and the false prophets. And the poor dude, I mean, he was captured. Nebuchadnezzar came around. They destroyed the temple, took all the treasury from the temple. They put out his eyes, but he didn't put out his eyes before they killed his children. So it was a disaster, even though I think he did live out his years in Babylon more or less, protected by the people who admired him at one time, even though he had lost his family and he couldn't see anymore. And I think he finally died a natural death, but still it was harsh simply by listening to the wrong people. So even though I support people like Trump, there were people who came before Trump that did a lot of damage to this country. And once you do that damage, like they had a king in Israel called Manasseh, and he was terrible. He brought idol worship into the temple. I think he put Baal, that terrible idol god they worshipped, the pagans worshipped, and he brought a statue of Baal into the temple itself, which was horrendous. And Israel could never get over that fact. And even though the king himself, Manasseh, he did repent in the end, but still the damage has been done. And I think maybe in the United States, the damage has already been done with people like Obama and Biden. I don't know. I hope not. I like to stay positive, but I'm saying once the damage is done, it's hard to reverse that, and even for a righteous king, a righteous leader, they can make mistakes. So I hope it's not too late for the United States. And I hope Trump, who I think is a righteous leader, will take the right advice and won't listen to the wrong people. I was glad and happy that he called Tucker Carlson a nut job. They're having a go with each other. He says he calls me all the time. He's a nut job. I know. I'll never answer the phone. So there are elements, that are trying to persuade him to go one way. And usually they're very anti-Semitic. They don't like the Jews. The hate for the Jew is palpable. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, what happened to this girl? I mean, I have a friend who's in politics, and she knew her, and she's Jewish, and she thought she was on our side. I'm conservative, MAGA, but all of a sudden she went on the dark side, and she did have a lot of tendency because she made that funny comment on X, I believe, about space lasers from Jews or something. I don't know, but I thought it was just her redneck ignorance that really she had a good heart and her mind was in the right place, but it wasn't. And she's gone on the dark side with Tucker and Candace Owens and those people. So there's a lot at play. And now we got this whole thing going on in the Strait of Hormuz. It seems like that's the center of attention right now because Trump said he's not going to allow any ships to go through unless he allows them to go through. He's got more or less a blockade on there. I mean, the question is, does Iran have any influence now in the Strait of Hormuz, as far as, its military and mines that he said he placed in the waters. Of course, no ship wants to go through the strait. They don't want to get insurance if there's any way, any possibility that there's a mine out there. And so, Trump says, well, we've got all these minesweepers. We're taking care of it. So we'll see where he goes. We'll see if the Strait of Hormuz really will open and the United States will take control. But there are a lot of elements still at play. Sorry, like that pollen's getting the best of me. Israel is still bombing the hell out of Lebanon because of Hezbollah. Hezbollah's still there, They're still shooting missiles. And what happened to Hamas? I mean, they're the ones that started it, October the 7th. And they're supposed to give up their weapons, right? Well, they never give up their weapons. These people will never, ever give up. And you have to, and the only way to force them to give up is to make them give up their lives, basically, or to beat them so badly they can hardly move. And we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Even though Israel and the United States together have a lot of power, a lot of force, there's still plenty of bad guys. But I'm staying positive through all this. And I'm thinking things could turn around quickly and go in the right direction. Like they could turn around and go in the wrong direction. But I believe Trump has the right vision, the right path, and he's not stupid. I don't think mostly he's talking to the wrong people. I think he's talking mostly to the right people, and he knows what he's doing, and I have faith in Trump, but more faith in God. And if God wills it, Israel and the United States will get the upper hand and will be victorious in the Middle East. And the Middle East will change for the better, for good. Amen. So let's hope it goes that way. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy the week coming up. It's spring, so enjoy the spring. Get out and enjoy nature. Don't get so bogged down on the news and on your smartphone, which is not always smart. Love you all. Again, this is Bob on Bob's Blues and the News. And I'm just going out with more of that, reaching out for the key, because we all are reaching out, man, for the truth. Je peux voir